Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's live edition of Critical Defense Radio. I am your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. And before we get into tonight's broadcast that I have planned for you, let me explain a little bit about what is going on, because I'm sure everybody is wondering, Popeye, how come you've been filling in for Holland for the past 2 weeks? Where has he been? Well, Holland has had to take a hiatus from doing his broadcast, Critical Defense Radio. For how long, I do not know. But he's had to take a hiatus. I actually spoke with him about 25 minutes ago to confirm everything, just to make sure. And he's taken a hiatus because he has to. He's doing another movie. And as you know, if you saw Noble Eye, he spent a lot of time and energy and effort in working on the film, and he just does not have an extra day. And he felt bad because if he stayed doing the radio show here, he would end up missing stuff or being late and half-assing shows. And he said to me that he did not want to do that because he respected Orion and he respected the opportunity that he was given to do the radio, and that's just not how Holland rolls. So he just wanted to make sure that it was cool and that everybody understood that he was just taking a hiatus because he's on, like I said, he's working on film and he's got a bunch of projects he's got going on right now, and he just doesn't have the time. But as Holland knows, the door is always open here at Orion for him, and if he wants to come back in the future, we'll definitely work out a spot for him, and his presence will be missed as a host, but I did speak to him, and he will be coming back on my show soon anyway as a guest, and he said that anytime I would like him to come on, he'll gladly come on if he can fit the 2 hours in to come on during the week or at night, or even if we had to pre-record it and he had I could air it later. He said he would definitely make time to come on, so that's good. And we wish him all the best in his endeavors, and it's not like I won't be speaking to him. Holland's a personal friend of mine, so I'll be chatting with him just like I do on and off during the day. So it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be missed here at Orion, and he did a good job. But like I said, if he has to reallocate his responsibilities, and one of those is because he's working on a new film to wake people up, well then who am I to get in his way to be working on that new film? And I'm just glad that he actually communicated with me and let me know what was going on. So, and the reason why I wanted to make sure, I could have just put a rebroad on tonight, by the way. I didn't want to come on. I spoke to Jimmy, or I didn't want to put a rebroad on, I should say. I wanted to come on. I spoke to Jimmy about this, and I'm purposely wanted to come on tonight and talk to you about what was going on, because so many times before we've had hosts leave the network, whether it was under bad circumstances because they had an issue with something, or just because they moved on and they went somewhere else. And even if there wasn't bad circumstances, a lot of times if the host didn't tell their listeners or didn't do a good job of letting the listeners know what was up, or if we didn't let them know what was going on behind the scenes, sometimes it would just seem one weekend they were there, next weekend they were gone, and nobody knew what would happen. Nobody knew what happened to them, and people thought people get kicked off the network. So I wanted to take a few minutes to go over this and just let everybody know that no, Holland did not get kicked off. He was not forced off. None of that at all. He just had to take a hiatus from doing his radio show because he is entrenched with making another documentary film and a bunch of other side projects. And, I mean, the guy's a busy guy, and nobody can fault him for it. And if his new film coming out is anywhere near as powerful as the last one they did, A Noble Lie, well, then, it's time taken off, and that's well spent. So, good luck to you, Holland. You're like a brother. I hope everything works out for you, homie. And, I'll be talking to you soon. So, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get into a few things about guns. Yes, guns. I know most people's ears are bleeding by now, right? Well, how about if I play you some evidence, or some more evidence? I mean, I've been playing evidence for weeks. Joe and Tim and Ken and I think every host on this network has covered the topic of gun control at least once in the past month. So, I mean, everybody's been driving it home. But I have some stuff that you may have never heard before. I have a few things I want to play for you, which I promise will probably blow your mind at the very least. If you haven't heard them, if you're one of these people that is against people using guns for self-defense and you say, oh my God, you could never show me any reason why guns should be used in self-defense, or blah, like the Brady campaign. Rape only lasts 30 seconds, but murder lasts a lifetime. Right. Let me tell you something. If you're getting raped, you do what you got to do. If that includes shooting the son of a bitch, well, shouldn't have been a rapist scumbag. What can I tell you? All right. First is a clip from an NBC affiliate. And it's about a home burglary that could have turned really bad, except for the woman who was home, the homeowner, had a gun and she was able to defend herself. Now, the audio is a little garbage. I apologize for that because it's a crappy clip. But when you're looking for evidence, you take what you can find. So here you go. Here's a snippet really quick. It's about 2 minutes. A woman defends herself with a handgun against a home invader who obviously had he had plans not just rob the house. Obviously, the guy was going to do harm to her, rape her, and probably murder her.
Who struck back and shot an intruder breaking into her home is speaking out tonight, and now that person is heading to prison. Channel 4's Laurel Erickson live in Santa Clarita with the details of this story. Laurel.
Well, and as you know, we've been waiting to talk to Nadine Tedder for almost a year. She went public today. She not only shot this fellow twice in the gut, once in the leg, he kept going, but she was one of several burglary victims, and the jury told her it was her actions that made all the difference. Nadine Tedder became a hero to gun owners and others tired of gang violence.
He was coming at me. He was yelling. I shot him to stop him.
Michael Lugo didn't know it waited for him as he pounded on Tedder's front door mid-morning, October 18th, 2006.
He went down, he got back up, came back at me, I shot him again, and he turned around and jumped back over the fence. Disappeared.
Tedder took it one step more. She testified against Lugo and his mother. They were convicted yesterday. Listening to her voice that day on the emergency call to authorities still upsets Tedder. What Tedder did not know was that Lugo's getaway driver was his own mother, Cynthia Brandon. While Tedder talked to law enforcement, Lugo's mother flagged down a deputy headed to Tedder. She told him her son was bleeding to death.
It was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Did you have any second thoughts about testifying against him out of fear for yourself?
A little bit, but I knew I had to do it. We needed to get him locked up, put away. I just think every woman should carry a gun. Never in a million years did I think I would use it. Never. And whatever higher power, whatever gave me the strength to pull that trigger. You're looking at him or me, my life or his life. I was not going to get raped. I was not going to get murdered. There was no way. And I didn't. For something as horrible as this to happen, it could not have ended up any better.
Tedder says she's grateful to all those people who helped convict Luger. The other people, of course, are right back at you. And now Lugo and his mother are going to face sentencing on February 29th.
Good. His guy and his mom. Nice mom, by the way. What are you, the mom from Goonies? Jesus. Seriously. If nobody knows what I'm talking about, go watch the movie Goonies. And that's who this guy's mother obviously was. The little old lady that was the thief and busted her kids out of jail. Real nice. So the guy breaks into the house, and you heard her. She said he was swearing at her. He could have assaulted her. He could have killed her. He could have raped her. Well, because his mom's waiting outside in the car. You think that's going to stop the guy from doing anything? She said he was coming down the hall swearing at her. She shot him, and he continued to come at her. So obviously, the first shot didn't deter him. He was intent on doing harm. So she had to shoot him again. What does that tell you? Obviously, it doesn't matter if it's illegal to break into the person's house and harm them, right? He did it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. Plain as day. I'm sure you can see it. We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and I have more examples of how the Second Amendment and someone having the ability to defend themselves with a handgun, and that includes semi-auto handguns. Ooh, the dreaded semi-auto. You do realize semi-auto, by the way. I know I beat this home. One squeeze of the trigger, one shot. One squeeze of the trigger, one shot. Semi-automatic. Over 100-year-old technology.
All right, folks, you got to see this one. An intruder breaks into a home, but he ends up in the hospital after a young girl grabs a gun and shoots.
This is a wild one. It happened in Bryan County Wednesday morning. The 12-year-old girl was home alone when the man broke in. New at 6, News 9's Chris McKinnon joins us with her story. Chris.
Christina and Kelly, the 12-year-old told police she heard the man ring the front doorbell. When she didn't answer the door, he went around to the back and kicked open their back door. That's when she called her mom, who told her to get the family gun, hide in a closet, and call 911.
Okay, I have a deputy en route. I want you to stay on the phone with me, okay?
Okay, please. I think they're in the house.
Knowing her daughter was in danger, Deborah St. Clair raced home from work.
I drove home at a really fast pace to try to get to her, and when I got here, the police were already here, and they had the suspect.
That's because St. Clair's daughter shot the intruder as he made his way through the house.
Okay, all right, I understand. Do you still have your mom's gun there?
Yes, I do. I have it in my hand.
And then what we understand right now is he was actually turning the doorknob when she fired through the door.
The bullet hit the intruder and he took off, but he only made it a short ways down the road.
He was sitting down. The policeman had him apprehended at the end of the block, and all I saw was some blood coming down his back. I'm not exactly sure where his injury was, but there was some blood there.
She's a proud mom who's thankful it ended the way it did, knowing her daughter is safe.
She's amazing, and I think she is. I think she's incredible, and I just haven't been able to stop hugging her and kissing her and telling her how much I love her.
Authorities identified the suspect as 32-year-old Stacy Jones. The undersheriff in Bryan County says Jones was airlifted to a Texas hospital, but this afternoon he was released from that hospital and booked into the Bryan County Jail. Chris McKinnon, News 9.
All right, we've learned a little bit more information, too. Jones was also arrested back in September of 2011 for allegedly abducting a 17-year-old girl with a diminished mental capacity.
So the guy's a repeat offender, and he's a scumbag, and he's kidnapped young girls before. So who knows? He probably would have kidnapped and raped this young lady. And what did she do instead? She did what she was supposed to do. She defended herself. And you know what? She even went above and beyond because she backed up into a closet, which she didn't have to do, but she did. She put herself in a closet. She was in a situation where she couldn't get any further away from him, and she shot. Good. You know what? That's what happens when you're a dirtbag and you try to break in and you try to kidnap or possibly rape a little girl. You scumbags. That's what you get. How about this? 92-year-old Kentucky farmer kills home intruder. Earl Jones had just turned off his new TV shortly after 2 a.m. when he heard a bang in the basement. The 92-year-old Boone County farmer walked 8 paces to get his loaded .22 caliber rifle from behind the bedroom door. He unwrapped a beige cloth and returned to the living room, sitting in a chair with a clear view and a clear shot of the basement door, waving with the gun across his lap. Some 15 minutes later, he heard footsteps moving closer up the stairs. He raised the rifle to his shoulder, took aim. The intruder kicked open the door. Jones fixed his aim on the center of the man's chest and fired a single shot. The Boone County Sheriff later announced the death of the intruder, Lloyd Adam Maxwell, 24, of Richmond, Kentucky. Quote, "These people aren't worth any more to me than a groundhog," end quote, Jones told the Inquirer. Quote, "They have our country in havoc. We got so many damn crooked people walking around today," end quote. 2 men with Maxwell, Ryan Dalton, 22, and Donnie Inhabin, 20, both of Dry Ridge, Kentucky, were charged with second-degree burglary and tampering with evidence. Police say they removed Maxwell's body from Jones's home. They're lucky they weren't down here in Florida. Down here in Florida, if you assist in a robbery and your robbery mate, whatever, partner in crime gets shot and killed, you get charged with his murder. The person that shot him in self-defense doesn't get charged. The crime mate, the partner in crime, gets charged with the person's murder. The Boone County Sheriff had no information Monday night on whether Jones would be charged, but he appeared clearly to act within Kentucky's legal definition of justifiable force in defense of his home and property. An investigation is ongoing, and police haven't said if the intruders were armed. Kentucky, like at least 24 states, has a castle doctrine enshrined in its laws. That's the right to defend one's home with deadly force. Kentucky law allows the use of physical force if someone believes it is needed to prevent criminal trespass, robbery, or burglary in his or her house. Some states, including Kentucky, have expanded the castle doctrine in recent years, giving people the right to use deadly force outside of their homes. Called no retreat or stand your ground laws, they do not require an individual to retreat before using force and allow the individual to match force for force, including deadly force in public places, which is, in my opinion, and actually in all actual fact, it has lowered crime in the states that they enacted it. And I know people would love to think, oh, there's more homicides and death and gun shooting. No, there's actually less crime because now people don't know if they're going to get raped or murdered. And yeah, there are shootings, and people do get capped each year. Unfortunately, it's the way things are. Some people are bad. Can you imagine the rate of shootings and murder and death if nobody had the right to carry a concealed weapon? If nobody had a right to defend their home? This 92-year-old Kentucky farmer, and I may add, he's also a veteran. If it doesn't say here in this article, I'll have to see if I can find the video report on it for you guys. But if it still exists, because this is an old one from USA Today. It's about a year ago. But, well, actually, no, it's about 4 or 5 months ago. So still, if I could find the video for you, because I really want you to hear. The guy's an old World War. I think he's a World War II vet. So you got a 92-year-old World War II veteran sitting by himself in his house. 3 young guys rather, with prior convictions. Okay, 3 young guys try to break in and rob this guy. Lord knows what they would have done to the old man if they found him in there. He's 92. It's not like he's a spry 65 and can still defend himself. At least with his fists. But the old saying says, God created man, but Sam Colt made all men equal. That's a reference to the cult Peacemaker. And you can see, obviously, the gun is the great equalizer, and yet again, is it not? You have a 92-year-old Kentucky farmer. 92 years old, ladies and gentlemen. And he was able to defend his property. Lord knows what would have happened to that poor little old man if they had gotten into that house and he didn't have his weapon to defend himself. Who knows what would have happened? Could have been much, much worse. Good for you, sir. Good shot, too. Single shot with a 22. Wouldn't want to piss that old man off. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I'm going to play this 26 seconds of audio from the, you're going to hear the old Kentucky farmer talking about the shooting and him defending himself really quick. And then I'm going to play even more examples. Oh, I have a ton. Trust me. I have a ton of stuff that I guarantee you haven't heard yet. And if you've heard it, it's been a while. Here we go.
See my shoulders? You have to have a big guy. See, I'm a small guy. And when he did, I was right in sight of where he was sitting. Yeah. And when he fell backwards, all the way down them steps, and he got down to the platform and fell off of that now. Like I said, he had to have somebody that got him out of there.
So he's talking about how there had to be somebody that dragged him out, which they found out that his two friends did. But the guy's an old Air Force vet, 92-year-old World War II Air Force vet with a .22 rifle, one shot, takes out the intruder. Ooh-rah, sir. Ooh friggin' rah. All right, here's another one. 84-year-old woman shoots home intruder with a gun. She's shooting for the very first time. She never shot it before. Here, listen.
An intruder in Richmond got the surprise of his life when he broke into the home of a senior citizen. Yeah, she pulled out a gun she had inherited and she fired it for the very first time. Wayne Friedman is in Richmond where he picks up the rest of the story. Wayne.
Well, this is a rare story. It's unusual in that it's a frightening reflection of life in cities today. But it's also inspiring because in this case, the victim turned the tables really fast. Almost every call is urgent in the Richmond Police Department's dispatch center, but few are as memorable as this one from last Sunday night.
I need the police out here.
Okay, what's going on there?
Well, because somebody broke in my house and I got up and went hurry.
The call came from the home of 84-year-old Gustava Harvey, who lives alone. That intruder kicked down her door and made directly for her bedroom. But there, Mrs. Harvey had a surprise for him, a vintage .38 caliber police special.
She fired one time, and in the straight direction that he was standing, the bullet struck the wall at about chest level. So he was very lucky not to be injured or killed by that.
It took just that one shot for the intruder to leave, and in a hurry. Mrs. Harvey and her son did not want to relive the experience today, but their friends are talking.
She was scared that somebody would come in there into a home.
Well, I mean, as a homeowner and a citizen, you're allowed to possess a weapon, and you're allowed to defend yourself and your property. And so these are all things that she was well within her right to do.
Police did not confiscate the weapon. The suspect remains at large, and the neighborhood quite proud of the frightened 84-year-old woman who found the strength to not back down.
Well, she probably is not the only one that have something to protect their homes. So, and I'm glad she did use it, because otherwise she'd have been a victim.
We do have one final note. It was late and it was dark, and because of that, Mrs. Harvey was not able to give a good description of her attacker. She did have one telling detail, however. She told police that when he left the scene, his pants were soiled. From Richmond, Wayne Friedman, ABC 7 News.
As I said, guns as the great equalizer. The 84-year-old lady made the guy crap his pants. Well played, man. Well played. How about children now? Ooh, what about a 10-year-old being able to defend himself and his sister against armed intruders? Let's see.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andre Morrow.
And I'm Donna Britt. A mother is counting her blessings tonight after her two young children escaped a home invasion in Port Allen.
West Baton Rouge deputies say the kids were home alone when the intruders forced their way in. What happened next might surprise you. Our David Spun joins us now live from Port Allen with our Street Beat tonight. David?
Well, Andre, the two men are behind me right now in the West Baton Rouge Parish Prison, while those two kids, a brother and a sister, only 8 and 10 years old, are home safe and sound with their mother tonight where this happened. It happened 2 nights ago, and ironically, it was just about this time on Tuesday night when police say 2 intruders came into the apartment, pulled guns on both of the kids, and that's when the 10-year-old brother pulled a gun back on the intruders.
I just dropped everything and tried to make it home to my babies. I was just scared.
A mother in shock after news her home was broken into and her 2 children were in danger. Late Tuesday, West Baton Rouge deputies received a call to this apartment complex after several shots rang out from inside her home.
You out here trying to work, and for someone to come do that, invade your home, is just very hard.
Deputies say Dean Favron and Roderick Porter knocked several times on the apartment door. 2 young children, a 10-year-old boy and 8-year-old girl, stood on the other side, terrified.
He told his little sister to be quiet. And seconds later, they started kicking on the door, and finally they kicked the door in.
The 2 children ran to their mother's bedroom closet. In a panic, the 10-year-old grabbed his mother's gun for protection.
He did what I told him to do. He went got in the closet, but I never told him to get the gun, but thank God he did.
Once the two suspects opened the door threatening the kids, deputies say the boy fired a bullet into the lip of Roderick Porter. Both men were taken to the hospital, where they were later arrested.
It's just hard. I don't understand why would they do that. I know they have little brothers and little sisters. They wouldn't want no one to come into their home.
Now, the two men behind me are being held on a $150,000 bond. There was a third suspect involved in the case. He was a juvenile. He actually, according to police, ran the getaway car, 15 years old, taken to a juvenile detention center. Now, Dean Favron, one of the suspects, actually just got out of jail a couple weeks ago. He was in for 7 years for aggravated assault on a Baton Rouge police officer and 2 carjacking charges back in 2002. Andre?
And they're in the prison behind you. David, thank you very much.
Baton Rouge now has the second.
Big surprise. Repeat offenders. What a large surprise. Good shot, kid. Right in the lip. Here's another one. 69-year-old woman shoots home intruder.
Tennessee's first local news in high definition. This is News Channel 5 at 10.
Metro Police say the victim of a home invasion turned the tides on his intruder. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen Presall.
And I'm Rory Johnston. You know, rather than running, the homeowner shot the burglar. New tonight, News Channel 5's Eric White sat down with the man who pulled the trigger. Eric?
Rory, John Lewis is sick and tired of being the victim. He says burglars have broken into his home 4 times this year. Mr. Lewis tells us it was about time the suspect got the raw end of the deal.
You got to protect yourself.
To a thief, John Lewis may look like an easy target. On Sunday, the 69-year-old Air Force veteran shot a hole through that reputation.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody rob me and over and over and over and over again.
Around 10:30 Sunday night, John heard a crash.
So he started kicking on the door, kicking on the door. He made more noise than anybody I've ever dreamed of trying to break in a house.
What he saw was a man holding a flashlight and a pickaxe. John was packing a .357 pistol.
And the pistol went off. The guy had cocked, and it had a hair trigger, and I touched it, and it went off.
The bullet hit suspect Jerry Watson in the leg. Metro Police say Watson, who has a lengthy criminal history, limped to the home next door and lost consciousness.
What's to think about? I mean, he's going to hurt me, or I was going to hurt him, one of the two.
And rather than getting angry, neighbors are celebrating the story.
I think it's wonderful. Yay, rah for you, Mr. Lewis. Yay, rah. You got my vote. Maybe they'll stay away now.
As the suspect recovers at a local hospital, John wonders if the intruder learned his lesson.
I don't know. Maybe he did with me. I hope so. Like I said, if he didn't, I'll teach him again.
No matter the outcome, this pistol-packing homeowner has no regrets. This is the second time John Lewis has shot an intruder. He tells me the first incident was 11 or 12 years ago. During that break-in, Mr. Lewis came home and found a man inside his house. Mr. Lewis shot that intruder. That suspect also lived and was later arrested. Rory?
Unbelievable, Eric. Thanks.
It's not unbelievable. It happens all the time. I'm glad this guy was able to defend himself. Hoorah, sir. Hoorah. 69-year-old Air Force vet. Another veteran. You know, I keep seeing this ongoing pattern here. A lot of older veterans are able to defend themselves. Looks like that training sticks with them for a while. No wonder DHS calls veterans and returning vets terrorists. Just more reason to be able to defend yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. All these examples show that people need a right to defend themselves, because obviously bad guys don't care about laws. It's illegal to break in, do harm, rape, murder, and pillage, but these scumbags do it anyway. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and again, I have more examples, just more glaring examples of why we need the right to bear arms in this country. Not only do we need it to defend against tyranny, but it also has a side effect that you can defend yourself against scumbags and people that want to rape you, murder you, do you harm. It just keeps everybody on an even basis. Amazing. In fact, if you research the technology of the firearm, you will see the drastic effect it's had on society. Spend some time. I could do an entire broadcast on that alone. Go research. Guns are a piece of technology. They're not something that's going to jump up off the table and bite you or jump out of the TV screen or out of someone's hand. It's the intent within the person using it. Now, I could stab you in the face with a pencil and kill you too, right? Doesn't mean the pencil wanted to kill you. It means the person holding the pencil wanted to kill you. Logic, ladies and gentlemen. We need to use logic. Here we go. Just more evidence that people should have the right to defend themselves. Oh, look. A lady using a pistol, a semi-automatic pistol, to defend herself.
Also from Gwinnett County, a woman who happens to be a local school counselor came out of her shower today and came face to face with an intruder. She ended up shooting and killing the intruder. And Channel 2's Tom Regan has the split-second decision that saved her life.
She's smart, she's witty, and obviously she's well prepared.
Dan Tucker told me he's amazed how his friend and neighbor was able to defend herself from the violent armed intruder. This is a picture of the 53-year-old victim as she arrived home from the hospital following the terrifying attack. She had just stepped out of the shower when a stranger burst into her bathroom.
The male was armed with a kitchen knife. Struggle ensued between the two of them. She fell inside the bathtub, injuring herself.
The victim told police she fought off her assailant with a shower rod. He then forced her into the bedroom with the intent to sexually assault her. She told him she had some money stashed, but instead of getting cash, she grabbed her .22 caliber pistol and opened fire.
She shot him several times as he was in front of her, and then as he left the house, he collapsed outside of the in the backyard.
Excellent. Yes. Anybody by herself like that put him down with a .22, she must be a good shot.
We've learned the victim, whose name is being withheld, is a veteran private school counselor with a Ph.D. That, along with steel nerve strength and a quick draw.
She's keeps herself in really good condition.
I think it paid off.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Somebody broke into my house. If I had a gun, I would probably do the same thing.
Well, the victim told us at this time she does not want to speak publicly about what happened. Perfectly understandable given the traumatic experience she has been through. Police have not yet released the name of her assailant who died at Gwinnett Medical Center. They say he is in his 20s. Live in Duluth, Gwinnett County, Tom Regan, Channel 2 Action News.
Well, you know what? Too bad you died, buddy. And you know what? Kudos to that lady. I'm sure she probably feels bad that her actions, like any normal human being would, I'm sure she feels a tinge of sorrow that she was forced to be put into that situation. But you know what? One less piece of crap on the planet. Obviously, the guy was a rapist piece of crap. Right? And what have I said, ladies? What have I said? You know, that Brady campaign, well, rape lasts 30 seconds, but... murder lasts a lifetime. First of all, what about women that are raped repeatedly over and over and over again for like 12 or 15 or 20 hours, right? Oh, I guess that rape didn't last 30 seconds there, huh, Brady campaign? So guess what? You know the advice I'll give you. If you're being raped, you do it exactly what this lady did. Ladies, I suggest you learn self-defense and get a firearm. I'm going to tell you what, if some douchebag tries to sexually assault you, because I have no use for rapists. They're like the lowest form of scum on the planet. Them and pedophiles should both be pushed into the wood chipper. No excuse for it. So if you're about to get attacked or get raped, shoot the son of a bitch. You do what you got to do. Here's yet another example. Another would-be home invader killed.
The pre-dawn quiet in a North Valley neighborhood was shattered this morning, first by a sledgehammer banging down a door, then by gunfire. Tonight, one man is dead, and detectives are trying to figure out what it was all about. News 13's Crystal Gutierrez is live at the crime scene near 2nd and Paseo. Crystal?
That's right, Dick. Investigators are still knee-deep in questions this evening, but just a few hours ago, the man killed in the doorway of the house just behind me was identified. Now, knowing who he is will help investigators find out why he was trying to break into the house.
He
Deputies say it should be an open and shut case. A man trying to break into a home gets shot by the homeowner, but investigators are still questioning the suspect's motive.
We're really curious how this is going to play out when somebody is taking a sledgehammer to the front door.
That suspect, deputies say, was 43-year-old Dimas Apodaca, a man with an extensive criminal history, including robbery, burglary, and shoplifting. Deputies say Apodaca didn't even try to keep the break-in quiet. They say he was pounding so hard he woke up a neighbor.
A loud thumping noise, like someone trying to kick a door in.
He also woke up the homeowner, who met him at the door with a gun.
If they're just trying to sneak in and steal stuff for their own benefit, they tend to be a lot sneakier.
This afternoon, fingerprints ID'd the suspect as Apodaca. Deputies say IDing him was a big break in the case. They are now questioning his family and friends about what he was really up to.
Find out what he was doing and where he's been staying.
And who he was with so early this morning. Witnesses told deputies a car sped off after the shots were fired.
Which obviously means there's other people that knew why they were here, what they were after. And that'll hopefully give us some more information about why they were trying to get into this house.
And investigators are now looking for a dark-colored, possibly black El Camino that was seen leaving this area early this morning. They don't know if there was more than one person in that car. Dick, back to you.
Okay, Crystal, 2 children were in the house when all this happened. The homeowner has not been charged. When investigators finish their work, they will turn everything they've learned about this case over to the district attorney.
And of course the guy shouldn't be charged. He defended himself. I mean, if you're trying to break into my house with a sledgehammer, it sounds like maybe the guy, they thought he had something, or for whatever reason, they were either, I don't think they were going to go in there and break in and try to steal anything. That almost sounds like that guy was there to do homeboy harm. You know, you're taking down a door with a sledgehammer in broad daylight. No, I don't think you're there to rob the place. You know what I'm saying? I think you're there to do something else. If you're going to be that brazen, obviously, you don't give a flying crap. And you probably won't have any, misgivings about killing somebody or bludgeoning with the sledgehammer. He probably would have beat the guy's head in with the sledgehammer. And it probably would have been a brutal, horrific crime. There were children in the house. Got to do what you got to do, man. If you're in a situation where it's you or somebody else, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm not talking about you go out and you got your piece on you and you get drunk at a bar and you start a fight and you act like an asshole and you end up shooting somebody. That's wrong, and you should go to jail for that, especially because you were drinking. But I'm talking about if somebody breaks into your house or they try to carjack you or whatever, mug you, you do what you got to do. And if you're in that situation, you can't. I know you wouldn't want to. Trust me, I know the feeling of not wanting to take a human life, believe me. But if you're in a situation where somebody's coming at you like that and they're going to hurt you, don't try to, look, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to shoot you. Give them a warning if you want once. But I wouldn't recommend, repeatedly, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Because then you will be one of those cases where the guy takes the gun from you and uses it on you. If you have a weapon and you don't know if you could squeeze that trigger and do what you got to do, then you shouldn't be carrying that weapon. You should practice. Take the magazine out, make sure it's unloaded, and practice drawing it. Practice different combat scenarios coming in and out of your house. I'm not kidding. Or getting in and out of your car. Look, it's better to practice and know this stuff and have the ability to defend yourself than not. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Because I've been in the latter situation, and let me tell you something, it sucks. So go out there, if you have a firearm, if you have a concealed weapons permit, don't just take for granted that you have a concealed weapons permit. Train. Train yourself, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day. You don't have to run around like G.I. Joe or anything, but think about tactically how you'd be able to defend yourself. And if you carry, you also need to sit back and think about how you could defend yourself. Like if you were in your car for a carjacking, right? That's why I always say if you have a concealed weapons permit, you can carry more than one gun on you. Carry a secondary backup, a smaller little revolver or something. Put it in an ankle holster. Put it in a pocket. I say ankle because if you're driving and you have your piece, if you carry your piece on like your hip, it's really awkward for you to grab that piece. And if someone's got a gun on you trying to carjack you, they could nail you. But if it's on your ankle, you could be like, man, I don't want any problems. And reach for the thing, rip that thing out of your ankle holster, and fire a shot through the door or through the window real fast. So, I mean, again, practice. Perfect practice makes perfect performance. We're going to break, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hour number 2 of Critical Defense Radio coming up. Stay with me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Critical Defense Radio. And yes, as I said earlier in hour number 1, this is the last live edition of Critical Defense Radio for right now, because Holland van de Nieuwenhof, the host of the broadcast, is taking a leave of absence to work on a new film project. As you all may know or may not know, some of you may not know, Holland is a filmmaker, and he is responsible, or one of the men responsible for the movie A Noble Lie, the Oklahoma City bombing documentary that came out about a year ago. Awesome film. I urge you all to go check it out. But as I said, Holland is going to be taking a leave of absence, and I wanted to make sure, rather than put on a rebroad tonight, I wanted to come on live tonight for you guys and let everybody know that he wasn't going to be on tonight. And instead of just putting on, a rebroad, nobody knowing, I felt it more important for me to talk to you live. And then since I was on and I had the 2 hours, I figured why not give you more perfect examples of the Second Amendment being offering citizens, or I should rephrase that, the Second Amendment backing up someone's natural law right to defend themselves. And I'm doing so by showing you cases where people have used firearms to defend themselves. Some of them have been young, some of them have been old. You're going to hear more about kids defending themselves, one with an AR-15. You're going to hear another case of an AR-15 being used in home defense. I know that, or actually it wasn't an AR. The one kid used an AR, the other guy used an AK. And I know that they say, oh, no, there's no reason. People don't need, a rifle that could shoot 30 rounds. Well, 4 guys who, at least 2 of them were armed with semi-automatic rifles, and the other one's handguns, tried invading the guy's house, and the guy was able to defend himself. So you're going to hear that audio. You're going to hear a bunch of stuff. First, let me start off with a 57-year-old Oklahoma woman who was able to take actions in her own hands, and she grabbed her shotgun, which she had to defend herself, and she was able to kill a man who was trying to enter her house and break in. And again, who knows what would have happened to her if the guy had gotten into the house. Here you go.
There's a man at my back door. He's trying to get in. He's hollering and yelling.
Okay, and you have a gun?
Yeah, yes, I do. I do not have it out.
Okay. I want you to stay
on, and I will use it.
I want you to stay on the line with me.
I will. He is banging on the door. I can hear him banging. He's trying to get in. He needs to fast. He looks like an older man, but I don't know. I don't understand what's going on. He's getting close to the door. I'm going to go ahead and get the gun out. It's a shotgun. It's large.
Can you understand what he's saying at all?
Well, he's crazy. He's crazy. I'm taking the safety off the gun, man. He's acting crazy.
Okay, do you have a place that you can go inside your house and lock yourself in a room?
Not really. I've got a big shotgun. I'm not going into a tiny bathroom. Oh, crap, he's at the back.
Okay, County 13 is advising that you can defend your property if you need to.
I don't want to have to kill this man, but I'll kill him graveyard dead, man.
I understand.
All right. He's breaking in now. He's breaking in. Got a gun on him. He looks to be an older man. I don't want to kill him. God, I don't want to kill this man. They need to hurry. He's going to break this thing open. And if he does, I'll have to kill him, ma'am. I don't want to kill him.
I understand, ma'am. You have to protect yourself.
I will. Ma'am, he's about through the house. I'm going to shoot.
Oh, my God. Ma'am, is your phone a cordless phone?
I shot him going out front. I hit him. I shot him. God, help me. Oh, please, dear God, I think I've killed him. Please, Father in heaven. Please, Father in heaven. I'm so sorry, Father.
It's okay, ma'am. It's okay. You have to protect yourself, okay?
That's the actual 911 call. That's the actual 911 call of the woman defending her property and defending her house because this guy was going to break in. Who the hell knows what this guy would have done to her? You don't know. I don't know. And you heard the dispatcher. She said, you have the right to defend your property. And the woman, got to give her credit. She said, I don't want to have to kill him. I will kill him graveyard dead. But I do not want to have to kill him. And you heard the guy banging on the door. And then she said, he's coming in. I'm going to shoot him. She dropped the phone for a second and boom. And that was it. Threat ended. Well done, ma'am. Well done. And you know what? She's not a cold-blooded murderer like these idiots in the mainstream media or the gun grabbers would have you believe. Did you hear her crying? I think I killed him. I think I killed him. And what did the dispatcher say? You were in your right. You were within your right to defend yourself, ma'am. And you were within your right to defend yourself, ma'am. And if you ever hear this radio broadcast, kudos to you. I'd like to take you out to dinner. My dime, I'll take you out wherever you'd like to go. My wife and I will treat you to dinner for having the balls and the courage to do what you had to do, even though you didn't want to do it. That's what a real gun owner goes through and does in a situation like that. It's not like Charles Bronson or the Wild West, although I am going to play you a clip in a few minutes of a real-life Charles Bronson, and if this guy's story doesn't blow you away, then nothing will. But I have more. Armed homeowner shoots robbers during daytime invasion in Arizona. Oh, this is the one I was talking about with the AK-47. 4 armed robbers were coming to take this guy's house out and take him out in his house, rob his house. 2 of them had rifles, at least, and the other ones had pistols. But the homeowner had his own AK-47. So, there's no need for these guns. Really, Piers? Here's the need for the guns. I'll give you the prime shining example of the need for them.
Then 4 armed suspects caught on tape trying to break into a Southwest Side home. The homeowner's own surveillance cameras helping deputies solve this case. News 4's David Marino has this story. New at 10.
The surveillance video captures it all. 4 suspects, armed and dangerous, attempting to invade a Southwest Side home.
The victim was able to get back inside his house, close his door, semi-barricade it, reach for a weapon that was easily accessible.
That's when you hear gunfire. The 4 men retreat, get into their car, but not before the homeowner's bullets hit the windshield. Pima County Sheriff's officials say the homeowner has surveillance cameras installed all around his house.
And that was just for his own home security.
People living in the neighborhood heard all the gunshots and saw the aftermath. Some stray bullets even hit a home across the street.
I was asleep when around noon Thursday, and I heard gunshots. Then I heard about 4 or 5 more shots go out in rapid succession. Then I heard his car squeal off.
I am very watchful from where we live. And I think everybody has a right to defend their property.
Pima County detectives did find the suspect's vehicle at a home near Cardinal and Valencia, but the 4 men are still on the run. One of the suspects has been identified as 23-year-old Jesus Mendeville. It's believed he was shot in the arm. The 3 other men are all described as Hispanic males between 17 and 25 years old. Anyone with information is asked to call 88 Crime. With Balanced News, David Marino, News 4.
And one of them in the video, you can see the guy clearly. He's running across, like they pull up into the guy's driveway in a car, and all 4 of them hop out, and one of them has an AR in his hand, in his right hand, and he's running like he's one-fisting it like he's in a video game. He's trying to be Johnny Cool, right? And the rest of these guys got pistols. There's another one with a rifle. And they came barging, like running up his driveway. I mean, they came into his driveway, got out, and they were coming gangbusters into Homeboy's house. Without a doubt, they were coming gangbusters into dude's house. And he got, like you heard the Pima County Sheriff's deputy say, he got into his house. He was able to barricade his door, take up a good position because he had his AK right by the door, apparently locked and loaded, just in case. And he grabbed his AK, and he was able to return fire. And it's amazing because you see all four of these guys, they come running up like they're storming the beaches at Normandy, and all of a sudden they start getting shot at, and you see all four of them running like four little schoolgirls taking off out of there. And they're trying to get in a car, and as the one guy gets in the car, you see the driver get in the car, and he's trying to put it in reverse. You see the guy hit the windshield, ping, 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 so that you know the guy got hit at least once. Good. That's what you get for trying to do a home invasion robbery, scumbag. You're lucky the guy wasn't. You're lucky the guy when he shot at you didn't hit you. But who knows if he was trying to kill him or just scare him up or whatever. The guy. I mean, obviously the guy was pretty good aim. He put him right through the windshield on the driver's side. Don't try to invade someone's home and be a scumbag. You won't get shot. We're going to break. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Next segment, when we come back in, I should have enough time to play the full segment. So what I'm going to do is, coming back in from break, I'm not even going to talk. I'm going to play the clip, which you might have heard me play it on the special broadcast I did the other night from midnight to 1. But if you didn't, you're going to hear it again. It's a story of the real Charles Bronson. This guy that just, I'll call it the watchstore of doom or watchstore of death. If you haven't heard the audio, you will, and you'll understand why. But I want to play. Here's a little minute and 28 seconds of a story that was done. See, I played just the 911 audio for you of the lady that shot the guy with the shotgun that was breaking in, but I want you to hear a little bit just to back up my point. These are police dispatchers. And they'll back up the fact that she had the right to defend herself.
I don't know. They need to hurry. He's going to break this thing open. And he does. I'll have to kill him, ma'am. I don't want to kill him.
This is the 911 call Donna Jackson made after midnight as this man, Billy Riley, tried to break into her rural home. As the 57-year-old tried to stay calm and collected, on the other line, a team of dispatchers were sending help her way.
She pleaded and begged, she said, I don't want to have to shoot him, I don't. Can you understand what he's saying at all?
Boy, he's crazy.
For nearly 10 minutes, Billy Riley continued banging at the door and yelling profanities, threatening the woman.
I could hear him banging the doors and, yelling at her, and I was scared, for her.
Listen carefully as you can hear the intruder smash the windows, first with a chair and a second time with a patio table.
Ma'am?
Hurry. Dear God, hurry. Okay. Not yet. Hurry.
Oh, my God.
That's when the gunshot was fired, killing him.
I shot him going out front. I hit him. I shot him. God, help me. Oh, please, dear God, I think I've killed him. Please, Father in heaven. Please, Father in heaven. Oh, my God, man.
So for me, listening to the call, the hardest part was hearing her pray for forgiveness, being put in a position that no one ever should have to be put into.
There you go. So she didn't want to kill the guy. She wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to kill. I want to kill. I want to destroy. I love to kill. No. Not like the mainstream media would have you believe, all crazy gun owners, you just want to shoot and kill. I mean, it's so stupid. It's been debunked 1,001 times, but they'll keep doing it. How about outside the United States, though? What about inside of another state? Or, another country. Let's go check Canada. Let's see if there's anything up there. Any gun crimes or any crimes where somebody is able to use a gun to defend themselves from a gun crime, where a bad guy had a gun or a knife or a weapon and the person was able to use a firearm to defend themselves, or else they'd be dead. Let's see. Are there any cases outside of the U.S.? I mean, it's got to be just a U.S. thing where people use guns to defend themselves. Oh, I guess not. Wait a minute. Canadian jeweler who shot robber wants more gun rights. Say again? Well, we must give this a listen.
We begin with a robbery victim who wants the laws in Canada changed so he can keep a loaded gun close by. Our Go Public reporter Kathy Tomlinson has the story.
The vault is where he keeps his handguns. Jeweler Dennis Galloway shot and wounded a robber last year, but didn't discuss it much until now.
When he started coming towards me and raising a gun up too, I started shooting.
It was his second robbery in months. The RCMP didn't do enough to catch the first thief, he says, and can't protect him.
They seem absolutely helpless sometimes.
Surveillance shots of the latest robbery show an armed man aiming at Galloway's wife's face.
Once I started shooting, he turned and he ran.
Why'd you keep shooting?
I don't know. It just emptied the magazine.
The man collapsed, shot 5 times. His partner got away. There were stray bullets, too. The RCMP recommended firearms charges for Galloway. The Crown disagreed.
I hope that it never happens to anybody else, ever.
So now he's calling for more gun rights. Canadians like him should be allowed to keep loaded guns nearby, he says.
The RCMP. They wanted to bring charges against the guy because he shot the guy who had a gun pointed in his wife's face. And the stupid reporter, why did you pull the trigger? I don't know, because the guy had a gun pointed at his wife's face? Idiot. What would you have done, lady, if you were in his shoes? Would you have let him shoot your wife? Stupid. In the RCMP. How dumb are you people? Well, we should bring charges against the guy. I'm glad the government didn't, but geez. Really, RCMP, let's bring firearms charges against the guy for defending his life and his wife's life. Yeah, charge the victim. That's what systems like this do. And this is what happens when you disarm the citizens. And that's why this guy wants people to be able to carry guns. Because remember, the Canadians they have stricter gun control up there in Canada than we do down here. So here you go. Even up there, the guy was able to defend himself. And I guess even with gun control measures, bad guys still get guns.
Instead of having to store them empty.
Canadians are defenseless, and it's the law.
There you go. See, they have to store the gun empty. So the guy they can't keep a loaded handgun. And I guess that's why they wanted to charge him. Utterly ridiculous.
Terrified. Ellen Chambers was across the street at the time. She thinks the jeweler should be charged.
Well, I want the Canada back that I know that we had when we didn't have all of these guns.
She agrees with him on one point, though.
Our law enforcement services are incompetent.
We'll go with the statistics. In fact, crime rates are dropping. Our crime rates are dropping. Our property crimes are dropping.
Maybe convictions are dropping because you're not doing your job.
I don't think so.
The RCMP say Galloway's stand isn't justified, it's dangerous.
We had several shots fired. They went through a window. Who's to say a child might have not been walking through that window? You're going to get a lot of innocent people shot. If you have everybody armed.
The accused robber is now paralyzed and facing robbery charges. The jeweler just won a bravery award from a pro-gun group and says people come into his store just to shake his hand. Kathy Tomlinson, CBC News, Vancouver.
It's CBC News, too. Ugh, you see how in a country where you're disarmed and you're not allowed to, did you hear the lady across the street? Oh, he should be charged. Oh, really? He should be charged for defending his life and his wife's life. Now, you see the drastic difference you see in every one of these cases. The newscaster, at least in America, the newscasters, the police, they were all like, well, justified, hey, justified, self-defense, justified. You go to a place where you're not allowed to defend yourself, and look, crime, victims are demonized. Victims should be locked up for defending themselves. How dare you, slave? How dare you defend yourself? You should have been a victim. What's the guy supposed to do? Let the dude shoot his wife in the face? You know what? Law or no law, some guy points a gun at my wife, I'm going to kill him. You can judge me later, bring charges against me. At least I'll know my wife is alive. Take your laws and jam them in your crack. That's ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Charge the victim. See what happens when you're not allowed to defend yourself, ladies and gentlemen? Do you want that here? It's already bad enough. Do you want it to get worse? No. Go to the front of the Orion website. The phone number for the switchboard for Congress is in there. Light it up like a Christmas tree. We'll be right back.
2 would-be robbers were foiled today by a man, and some call him a real-life Charles Bronson.
I refuse to be a victim of violent crime.
For 14 years, Lance Thomas was a successful watch dealer in this West Los Angeles neighborhood, selling expensive luxury and vintage watches. That all changed following a series of armed robberies in the area, in which a number of shopkeepers were brutally murdered.
One associate said, "Lance, you better have a gun. There's a lot of, people getting killed in the neighborhood, and you should at least have a gun." I reluctantly said, "Okay," and put it in front of me. Now, this was in front of me, this watchmaker's bench. I put a .38 revolver right about here.
Within weeks of getting the gun, Lance found he needed it.
Over the other side of this watchmaker's bench, 2 clients. One client was waiting for me to find his watch, and I was going through the watches to see if his watch was ready to pick up. 2 other male individuals came in the shop and stood behind him, knocked him on the head. He went down, and then they went up in a combat stance, at least one of them did, with a 9mm in his hand and yelling at me, giving me his watches. What I did was I was looking through the watches, and I didn't do anything fast because he had shot me if I'd have reached for something. So he was going, "Give me a watch, give me a watch." And and that was it. It's as simple as that. I just decided not to be a victim in an instant. I'm not the fastest gun in the West. I'm not Wild Bill Hickok. I was scared to death.
The man who tried to rob Lance was shot in the face, but he survived and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. His accomplice got away.
What if I didn't have the gun there? What if it was sitting on my desk behind me? What if the scenarios were endless, and I found myself, if it ever happened again, to reduce the probability of losing my life.
Lance did that by practicing at the gun range, training at a gym several days a week, and by working out gunfight tactics to every robbery scenario he could think of. He bought several more guns and hid them every 3 feet behind the showcase so that one would always be within reach if robbers struck again. 3.5 months later, they did.
It was 7:15 in the evening, and the store had 3 customers in it, an employee, and 2 individuals came in armed with I believe a Mach 10 and an automatic pistol.
All of a sudden, Lance said, "Hit the floor, Jerry." And I don't know how, nobody was holding on to me. I just went down.
Immediately came up, firing at both of them, and he firing at me as I came up.
In the middle of the gunfight, with 2 robbers inside the store and 2 others outside, Lance Thomas managed to call 911.
I need a police car at 12118 Santa Monica, robbery in progress. Where is this at? Santa Monica, the watch company. The watch company.
It's all slow motion. There's lots of flashes of light. Looking down the barrel of a armed robber, repeatedly firing his weapon point blank range. Trying to stop them from killing me and everybody in the shop.
Lance is very quick. I mean, very quick. And he doesn't have a fear that a lot of people have.
Lance shot and killed the 2 robbers, despite having been shot himself once in the neck and 3 times in the shoulder. He almost died that night in the hospital.
Let's go all the way back mentally to ground zero. I'm faced with an armed intruder. Now, I have to make a mental decision to be a victim of his mercy. Or exercise the right of self-defense and fight back. And in fighting back, part of that is the willingness to die and to kill. Hard choice.
After 2 gunfights, Lance Thomas decided additional precautions were necessary. He spent more time practicing drawing his gun. He also put in a surveillance camera, hired a part-time security guard, and upgraded his arsenal of guns. 2 years passed.
And then it happened again.
There's a 6'5" guy with a 9mm Glock in my face. He said, "Don't reach for it, I'll kill you."
And what did you think?
Reached for it immediately and got shot through the neck here, out the back. Was able to get my hand on a semi-automatic weapon and torqued my wrist and shot 3 times. He shot twice more. He died in the scene.
The robber was the third to die in as many shootouts at Thomas's store.
I went to the hospital and it was, they didn't sever my spinal cord or my jugular. It just went in here and out here. So a Band-Aid sufficed and I was back to work the next day.
He said, "Don't do anything or I'll kill you." So why do anything? If you hadn't reached for your gun, maybe you wouldn't have gotten shot. Maybe he would have gotten a few of your watches, but it would have been over.
It would have been up to him, wouldn't it? He had his finger on the trigger, and he intended to negotiate. There's no negotiation. My life is too precious for that.
Did you think after that incident, maybe, things are getting out of control here. Yes. It's time to get out of town.
I put a double door in then. They came in anyway.
It would be Lance's 4th gunfight. 2 robbers linked to one of LA's most violent gangs entered the store.
They pretended to open the front door to leave, turned around, said, "You're dead," and fired the weapons. But that wasn't quick enough. I killed them both.
Lance Thomas was totally justified in everything that he did.
Detective Lee Kingsford investigated the shootings.
All of the suspects had extensive criminal records. They knew what they were doing. They just didn't know who they were doing it against.
When Lance Thomas emerged from his store after the last shootout, neighboring merchants cheered.
I go over to Lance Thomas' place and look at the guy laying down beside the door, and I said to myself, "God damn, he's really tough."
What concerns me is that a lot of shopkeepers have armed themselves and viewed me as somewhat of a hero, and it's rather dangerous for them to, in my view, to take guns in their shop and expect to perform the same way I did, not knowing how I spent so much time and effort preparing.
Shortly after hosing the blood off the sidewalk in front of his watch store, Thomas closed up his business and went into seclusion.
When word reached him that gang members were out for revenge, Thomas closed his store for good. But he strongly believes he did the right thing in trying to defend himself.
A man must live by his principle, who he is, not what he is. In fact, isn't that why anybody remembers anybody? Who they are? Not what he owns or what he is or what his title is, but how they feel about him. There are things in this life more important than what we own, and that is the principle in which we live by.
By 1996, Lance Thomas had retreated from the world, running his watch business by appointment only from a location he asked Justice Files not to disclose. He's had no armed confrontation since, but as the arsenal that surrounds him suggests, his life will never be the same.
It's kind of made an old man out of me, out of a fun-loving young man, I can tell you that. And I understand what a soldier goes through when he encounters mortal combat. It's hell. It's something to be avoided. But if you have to do it, you must be responsible. Because I prepared myself so thoroughly, I was able to survive.
Also in 1996, Lance was one of only 2 Santa Monica, California residents to have a concealed weapons permit.
I think that the issuance of concealed weapons permits in any state of the union can have just cause and should be issued.
There you go. And for time purposes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut it there because it only has a little less than a minute left, and the break is coming up. But I have to tell you, it is a powerful, powerful piece of video and a powerful, powerful piece of audio to at least hear. And this guy, he didn't want to have to kill these people. It wasn't like he set out and walked around going, I'm going to blast this guy, I'm going to blast that guy. They kept breaking into his watch business. He put double doors in. You heard him. He put double doors in. They still tried robbing him. He had to kill him. But see, he made the mental decision to not be a victim. And then he practiced. Perfect practice makes perfect performance. We'll be right back. Final segment, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to jam as much of the audio that I have left for you in here as I can in the last 10 minutes of this last final live broadcast of Critical Defense Radio here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. Just a couple more examples of people being able to defend themselves. In the first case, a young, what is it? I think he's a 14 or 15-year-old kid, gets a chance to defend his sister and himself using his dad's AR-15 rifle.
A 15-year-old at home with his 12-year-old sister when burglars try to break in.
That's when investigators say the boy grabbed his dad's assault rifle and started shooting, and he hit one of the men repeatedly. This all unfolded this afternoon in the 2600 block of Royal Place Court. 11 News reporter Sherman Chow talked with neighbors and investigators.
Anxious family and friends crossed the yellow tape into a surreal crime scene. A 15-year-old boy and his 12-year-old sister had been home alone in the Mount Royal Village subdivision. And then about 2:30, a pair of home invaders tried the front and back doors, then broke a back window.
A young boy was protecting his sister. You know, he was in fear for his life and for his sister's life.
The brother grabbed his father's assault rifle and knew what to do with it. His dad is a Precinct 1 deputy constable.
We don't try to hide things from our children in law enforcement.
The children were not hurt. The home invaders fled, leaving a trail of blood. 2 suspects showed up at Tomball Hospital. One, the adult, had multiple gunshot wounds and was flown to Memorial Hermann Hospital. The second, a juvenile, was taken back here. Detectives walked the suspect through the crime scene. Meantime, neighbors say burglars had recently struck the 2 houses next door, which included the deputy's home.
They stole everything, what they have inside. They already did it one time.
And this may be the last time, at least for these suspects. In Northwest Harris County, Sherman Chow, 11 News.
Look, a case of a 15-year-old kid using an AR-15, and he didn't go commit a mass murder at a school. Instead, he was able to defend himself and his 12-year-old sister against a bunch of idiots trying to break into his house. Who knows what they would have done. And wait, there's more. An 11-year-old girl uses a rifle to defend herself against armed burglars. She went and cleared the house with the rifle. 11-year-old little girl. Yes, it is possible, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, a trio of would-be burglars picked the wrong Albuquerque house to break into. Police say when the 3 teens pried open the door, a brave little girl was waiting for them, locked and loaded. Here's News 13's Maria Medina.
I was holding it like this and like that.
11-year-old Alyssa Gutierrez took matters into her own hands yesterday when 3 burglars broke into her home.
I was planning if they came right next to me, I would shoot them.
But Gutierrez never got the chance. Police say she spooked Miguel Marquez, Eduardo Zupiate, and Jesus Quintana.
My heart kept on pounding and pounding.
Gutierrez says minutes after her cousin Zachary left her home alone to run a quick errand, she heard the back door rattle.
I thought it was Zachary playing a joke on me, so I just turned the TV louder and ignored it.
The burglars pried open the door using a crowbar, but they had no idea that someone was home.
I slid.
Gutierrez says hiding didn't do any good. The masked intruders who stood just a few feet away saw her.
They had a rifle, so I was thinking, what should I do? What if they shoot me?
That's when she made a beeline for her mother's room.
And I ran back in my mom's room and grabbed her little pink rifle, and there was 2 bullets in there.
With a loaded rifle, Gutierrez says she checked the rooms in her home, ready to defend herself.
It's a 1-shot bullet, so.
While Gutierrez protected her home, she had no idea the suspects had jumped the fence and that an off-duty APD officer spotted them. Gutierrez feels lucky. Just a few days ago, she learned how to shoot a rifle.
I felt proud of myself.
In Albuquerque, Maria Medina, KRQE News 13.
Police arrested the 3 teens and their alleged getaway driver minutes after the break-in. The family says they know one of the suspects and they think that the suspects wanted to steal their guns.
And last but not least, an armed citizen is able to defend a police officer who's pinned down. I've played this before. And 165 yards with a .357 Magnum drops a guy who's about to take out a police officer.
Siren coming down the road, and about that time then the police officer pulled into the park. And I thought that he was pulling in a little bit close because that guy already had the rifle propped up on that tree and was fixing to cut out on him, you know. And I thought, well, I'm going to see what's going to happen here, and if I need to, you know, get in on it. And so about that time the officer got out of the car and he went shooting at him. And he ran around the back of the car. And I thought, man, he's fixing to kill that brother. And I thought, well, I think that guy's going to take him out if I don't help him out, you know. And he was shooting with an AR-15, the cop was. And so he wasn't hitting him. But that tree was protecting him, the shooter. And I had a side view of that man the whole time, standing there, and I thought, I'm fixing to put one in him, if I can. And I made a shot, I guess, probably, I managed a good 165 yards from where I was at. And I thought, man, I hope this Magnum bullet will hold up, you know, that distance. And sure enough, it did, and I hit him in the thigh. And he went to the ground. And that disoriented him. And then he turned, and I saw him throw another shell in that rifle, and he pointed at me and cut out on me. And but he didn't hit me. He must have hit the ground because I was standing behind the wheel of this RV of Brown's. And I felt the rocks. I had on a pair of shorts, and I felt the rocks fly up and hit me on the leg. And it cut my left leg there a little bit. But anyway, then that's when I returned another shot, and I hit him again, and I put 3 more in him. And then by that time, that patrolman, he got 2 shots in him with that AR-15. And it seemed like he's all over with then, because we got him down and killed him, you know. And then about that time, then the DPS officer came in. I mean, he wheeled in there. I believe there was another. He might have been a deputy, one of the other boys. Anyway, they hollered at me and told me, he said, put the gun down, get on the ground. And I did. They were going to handcuff me. Of course, they didn't know what was going on. And I laid there on the ground, I guess, probably 15, 20 minutes. And then they finally got me up and took the cuffs off. And after they found out what was going on. And seemed like the deal was all over with then, you know. We done got him down. So it's been an ordeal. An average working person. You know, and I don't want to be put in that range, you know. I'm just a citizen trying to help an officer out. That's what I was trying to do. Because I think if it had kept going, he'd probably killed the officer. And that's what all the other policemen out there, you know, told me. Said he thought it probably got him too. And that's about all I can say about it. It's a tragedy, but there's nothing you can do about it now. Never been in no trouble or anything, you know, before, and I thought, man, I've got to do something quick and do it now, you know. And that's when I jumped in there and put that first shot in him and knocked him down. Because that other boy couldn't get a good shot on him, you know. And so that's the way it is, you know. And you just got to live with it now.
And you could see the guy. That's the hardest part. The guy, he's upset because he knew he had to take another human life. He's not all Joe Rambo. This guy's a real gun owner. You can see, like he said, I'm just an average Joe, and I saw the guy about to kill this police officer. The police officer was pinned down. They both had AR-15s. Cop had a crappier position. Guy had a superior firing position, the assailant. And cop was about to be done for. Even the other police said within about another 60 seconds that officer was going to be dead. And the guy was starting to advance on him, and this guy saw him, and he was broadside to him from 165 yards. And he said, well, you know what? Something's got to be done. I got to do something. If I don't, this police officer is going to die. And what did this guy do? He stepped up to the plate, drew his weapon, and at 165 yards, with a .357 Magnum, he put 5 shots in this guy, allowing the police officer to fire back and get some shots off at this guy and take out the guy. He saved that cop's life. Even the cop who was under fire said he saved my life. So guess what? I bet there's at least one police officer that's glad there was an armed citizen that day, huh? Armed citizens are a good thing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening tonight. Tune in tomorrow night to my broadcast Down the Rabbit Hole. My normal time, 10 p.m. to midnight. I'm going to have Len Asenik on. Google him. Check out who he is. See you tomorrow night. Love y'all.